Alright, welcome to Boggy Creek Life. I'm your host, Cam Boggs. What I hope to do with this show is a little bit of modeling and share with you what I know and just do some cool stuff along the way. Maybe on the channel, some little video game clips, and if you're lucky enough, some horrible singing. But let's go ahead and get this started and check out what we got on the bench here. Now, this is a large 3D printed Xenomorph on a cliff. You can see it has eggs around it and the whole 9 yards. It was printed for me by my friend Jamie. I'm not really sure of the sculptor. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to check the joining sides, because sometimes you can get like little just imperfections that may make it not fit together as well. And I'm gonna have to check out and see why the camera is swinging around like that. But you see like these little nubbins right here. You just take a piece of sandpaper and you just knock them right off, you know. And if you want, you can just give everything just a general sand on the inside so the glue takes a better grip to it. You know, let's go over it real quick. I mean, it's gonna stick to this no matter what anyways, being a two-part epoxy. That stuff don't play. But I always like to go a little extra bit. And just knock those down. These are pretty awesomely done pieces, so there's really not a whole lot going on with them. Jamie does some great work. That camera flopping back and forth is going to drive me crazy, probably right along with you. I will get that fixed here. Alright, so you get all our edges knocked down. Nice. Make sure you check your keys too. You have little nubs on them. Anything that's going to make your job easier in the long run, you know. So yeah, this is a two-part epoxy. Put in just both equal amounts. You stir it around, mix it up good until it turns kind of like a milkish, yellowish color. You can tell, but it is kind of noxious. So, you know, using a well-ventilated area or with a mask or however you feel. But if you're doing a closed-in spot, it will put off some stink. I'm telling you. Woo-ha! I got you all in check. So now, what you want to do next, you get your epoxy, a little something to mix it in, however, whatever you want to use, disposable, because it ain't going to be worth nothing after this. And I cut a Bondo spreader, some people call them a spatula, whatever, into little tiny pieces, and I use it to mix it with and spread it. That way I can just scrape it off the cup, and you can see it's got old stuff on there. You can just keep reusing this however long you want. Now you'll see on the side of this that it has maybe you can see that, I don't know, it has measurement marks. So you can measure it out if you want. I just eyeball it. I mean, when I started I tried to measure it, but now I just eyeball it by how much is in the cup. It doesn't matter which one you put in first, just as long as they're two equal parts. And this can take forever. I'm going to use a pretty good amount. And remember too, when you're looking in the bottom of your cup, when you're putting the first one in, you go, oh, that's not a lot. Well, remember, you're getting ready to double that. So I'm almost out of old Bob Smith's. That's alright. I got some JB Weld we'll try next, 2-part epoxy clear. We'll see how that works. Now people say, well, you know, these are like, you know, plastic or whatever, these models. They're pretty durable. I know this epoxy puts off heat, but it's not enough to do anything to the model. You can use super glue on them too if you want. This is just a lot stronger. Plus with I like things to, when it comes to super glue, I like things to get done fast. There ain't really no way to spray the accelerating agent down in between here. But it's nighttime here on the 4th of July, so after I get done putting this on, we're gonna take a break anyway, so it will be good and dry by the time you see it again. The hardener is much thicker than the actual resin that you put in there. It's a bit harder to squeeze. Now you can see pretty clear. Got a little yellowish tint to it. But when it starts mixing and working together, it gets like a milky haze kind of to it. And I mean, if you use like a little paper cup or something like this, like I'm using, you'll be able to feel the heat coming off the bottom of it from the chemical reaction. But you still make sure you stir it up good, because sometimes you'll get a glob in there that ain't mixed and it'll never dry and it'll be sticky and you have all kinds of issues on down the line. Alright, you can see what I'm talking about now. Good and milky looking. Yeah. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to glob some with my spreader here on my key, on the end, around the sides of it. Get it all around there. And I'm going to smear a little on the inside. I'm trying not to get too close to the edge. That way when it's pressured together, it does not, you know, come out from the seam. Because I imagine what I use to fill the crack will be much easier to sand than this stuff. Alright, you get a nice little layer on there. You got to kind of work a little quick too. Smash that together. Give her a turn here. Goes in the next piece with the key. gonna push that puppy right in there to its house and push. And like I said, the bottle says this sets up 5 minutes. It'll hold it in 5 minutes, yeah. But it says, you know, for maximum strength, give her 24 hours. And seeing as how this is the main support of the whole model, we're gonna do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this big old rubber band around it. Try to kind of hold it together there with a little bit of pressure. If you don't have a big rubber band or something, do stuff like this. I mean, I imagine you could tie it together with some yarn or something, just to, you know, makes it a little easier, a rubber band. And alrighty, after that dries, we will go on to the next process. Okay, so we let our base sit 24 hours and then some. Our epoxy, good and dry. Alright, so you can see the seam line running down. And what I'm thinking is, since this has like a veining, webbing all through it, maybe I might get lucky and not even have to sand this, at least this part. I'm using this, no, they don't pay me or nothing. This Vallejo putty, just because it has this nice little thin applicating tip for, like, you know, more precise stuff. So I can get in here. And let's see, I'll start like right here so you can see. And get in here, run it down the seam first. Trying to squeeze some of it down into the crack and just leave a little bit of it recessed, you know, sticking up. Get down there, I'm not really worried about that because it's going to be covered up with an egg. I'll come to the other side here. Drag it down. And maybe like in here, you know, and jump back and just like take a little thin web of it like that, you know, to match these things. These secretions, I think, is what they really are in the movies. And the good thing about this too is when this putty dries, it's like real easy to sand. So you can go back in, a little sanding tool, whatever, maybe a little folded up piece of sandpaper, some sanding sticks I'll show you later on. And you can make irregularities in it to break up the line so you can't, you know, really tell it's a line. So what I'm gonna do, that I'm not gonna make you sit through, is I decided that there was no real seam that I liked, and the whole base was separating it. So if I do sell this after I'm done, it's just going to be the whole base, which you will see here in a little while. It's quite big, and then I will have the alien mounted separately. But all I'm going to do is get all the rest of the pieces put together just like this, like I showed you already, and I will mount them all together, and then I will be back and we'll show you how to scuff it up, sand a little, and get her ready to prime. Alright, so I realized after recording all that other stuff that I didn't have the microphone plugged in, but whatever, I got a big enough mouth. Okay, so we let this sit overnight, got it all together. So now we're going to go back in and putty all the cracks, knock them down. And I might shoot some of this Vallejo ground texture over top of some stuff. Just make it kind of interesting looking. Once again, they don't give me anything or pay me, so whatever. And there's that. Now, when you use this stuff, make sure that you get an old junk shit brush, because it's gone. The brush is done. At least from my experience. Maybe somebody out there knows something else that I don't that will clean this stuff out of your brush. But it is never the same. I got this old cheap, got it from Joann's in their little art section. Cheap disposable brushes. And this is basically just like sand and I don't know what it's mixed with. Maybe acrylic, maybe latex resin or something, I don't know. So it just gives it a little texture. And I'm going to put it like in these recesses, so I don't have to go in there and sand them, because that ain't no fun. Make it look like some moss or something, or some wet funk, or algae, I don't know. Guess you can get as free with it as you want to. If you don't want to, just kind of make it look sporadic. But you don't want to overdo it either. But you want to make sure there's enough so aesthetically your model looks like tied in together. Once again, use gloves if you like. I work on cars during the day. Can't wear them because I can't feel nuts and bolts, so my hands are already tortured. This doesn't really bother me, but some stuff could give you a chemical reaction on your skin. Especially stuff we'll get into later sometime called epoxy sculpt. Epoxy clays, 2-part clays, they tear your skin up. I do wear gloves when I use that stuff. So as you see, kind of what my plan was doing this is put in the recesses, darker areas, where if there was a light heat source it may not show, therefore it would be more damp and funky, and there may be more kind of things for growth. But as I got further towards the top where this possible light heat source may be, it would probably be too much for stuff to grow on top, stuff that thrives in the dark moist. Did I say dark moist? Moist. We're going to take this out in the nice hot Florida sun, and it'll be dry in about 27 seconds. Okay, so I was looking it over before I took it outside to sit in the sun, and I noticed that there is a small hole right there. And I've moved around with this thing before I put it together, so I probably bumped it into something or something. But I thought, I talked about the epoxy sculpt earlier, and I thought it'd be a good time to show you. So it's 2-part. You got part B, part A. It's just like the 2-part epoxy glue, equal parts. So I went ahead and tore out a couple relatively close size balls, and you just want to mash them together like real good, just like the 2-part epoxy glue. If you don't mix it good, some of it might not dry. So you can see it's all one consistent color pretty much now. Like a medium gray. This is where it was like a dark gray and a light gray from both containers. It's a little hole. I always end up making more than I need. But depending on what you use this for, this stuff will last you forever. I mean, I've had this for like 2 years at least. Let me see if I can get it down in there. Just take it right over top that hole. Push it down a little bit. Maybe get a little artistic with it. Take out the scope tool. Maybe scrape off some you don't need. Maybe try to blend it in a little better. And you can blend this stuff with plastic a little bit, smooth it out, I guess, really what you're doing
with like a little bit of rubbing alcohol or something. You know, but our model is pretty textured here, so it's really not going to be noticeable after the primer and paint. The only people that's going to know it's there is us because we saw it in the first place. And I'm going to make a little indentation there or something, make it maybe look like it's another part of the tendril coming down. But, you know, you want to make sure you got a little bit overlapped over top around your hole there so it stays. And voila! And I always take this and make a little ball and make some kind of funky sculpture, little face thing at the end of it. I've got like 5 or 6 of them in a drawer over there since I started. Alright.
Alright, so as you can see, it doesn't look like I really did anything to it because, well, I really didn't. I just went in there with the Dremel tool, just took out like some little lines here and there, knocked some extra stuff down. Because like I said, when this is all done, you're not going to be able to tell it anyway because there's so much stuff going on in the design. And if I see something that sticks out that I don't like, this Vallejo ground stuff you can paint right over. I could just blotch some of it over it and get rid of that line. And we're going to use Rust-Oleum Automotive Primer because it gives a good build, a good filling to it. So alrighty, we're going to get that done. We're going to put enough to cover on there, good wet coats, and we'll be back. Okay, so like I said, if I find anything I didn't like, and I did, a couple little lines right there, but no biggie. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab that Vallejo stuff now while I got this Florida sun working for me. Slap some on there, and then I'll show you what it looks like after that, and I'll finish priming it. I can't video it while I'm doing it because I'm outside and I don't have a tripod yet, so there you go. There's my buddy. You see him right there. Anyway, so you see, I went back in and I got a little more liberal with it because I liked how it looked dry with primer over it. So pretty much got rid of all that. Not much work at all, and for the sake of looking like an idiot, a little further reading on the ground texturing, and pretty much as long as you hit your brush while it's still wet with water, that stuff will come out of it. So I guess it's acrylic based. Alright, so we're gonna primer this and then we'll be finished with the base. So as you can see there, we seem to be good to go. All nice primered up. The primer helps you, see the flaws too. And I'm going to go ahead and just base coat this in flat black while we're out here in the heat. And that will just go ahead and save us time when we get to painting it. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Kitty, 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 kitty. I just want to pet you, kitty. There's my buddy, the big dog. Let's see how close he let me get. What you doing, buddy? What are you doing? Looking all mighty and majestic there, perched up on the corner. Hot day. Skittle, 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 skittle. That's it. Do the funky dance. There you go. Wrong with your bad self. Okay, so you can see we got us a nice base to work with. Nice base coat of paint. I don't think it's as flat as it's going to get yet because it's still not dry. And if it's not as flat as I like, I'll throw a coat of dull coat over it. No big deal. Like you see, we got all our lines hidden and gone, all our joints. So yeah, I'm gonna let this sit outside underneath the awning there overnight to dry on the table, so it'll be out of the rain if it rains, because it likes to rain down here over the nighttime. But I don't want to keep this inside and have the fumes come off of it and end up higher than a kite. So yeah, you gotta definitely keep things ventilated. Alrighty, so I'll meet you back inside when she dries. Alright, so you can see we got it all based in black, ready to go, ready to start painting. You probably also noticed too, a little picture-in-picture down there. Well, that's because I figured out how to do that, and it will be in future videos where it's more useful instead of being just kind of useless in there because I figured out how to do it. That's exactly why it's there right now. But make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. That way you don't miss any new videos, and turn on the notifications. I'm going to try to make one of these once a month. The next video, thinking about, putting together the alien that goes on top of here, getting him based in and ready to paint. So yeah, the videos will get better, as experience goes by. And, if you're new, hopefully you may have learned something. If you've been around the hobby, hopefully you may have learned something different. And either way, hopefully you caught a laugh out of it. So yeah, once again, thanks for stopping by, and model on.